Listen, what looks like exile today may be the very path to standing before kings tomorrow. Welcome, my loyal friends. Today we begin the prophetic book of Daniel chapter 1, featuring verses 1 and 2, a powerful moment where history and prophecy meet. Though it looks like defeat for God's people, these verses reveal something deeper. God is still in control, even in times of crisis. Let's explore how this story begins and what it means for us today. Daniel 1 verse 1. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim king of Judah came Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon unto Jerusalem and besieged it. Verse 2. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim king of Judah into his hand, with part of the vessels of the house of God, which he carried into the land of Shinar to the house of his God. And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God. The opening of Daniel's story is not just history. It's a powerful reminder that even in moments of loss, God is still working with purpose. Daniel begins with a sobering scene. Jerusalem falls, a king is humbled, and sacred things are carried into a foreign land. From a human perspective, it looks like defeat. Everything familiar is shaken. Leadership fails. The nation is conquered. Even the vessels from God's temple are taken and placed in a pagan treasury. But look more closely. Scripture makes something clear that changes the entire picture. The Lord gave Jehoiakim into his hand. This was not chaos. It was not abandonment. God was still in control. This moment teaches a truth that echoes through every generation. God's sovereignty does not disappear in hardship. It is often revealed through it. Yes, Jerusalem fell because of unfaithfulness. Yes, there were consequences for turning away from God, but even in judgment, there was purpose. God was not destroying his people. He was correcting, refining, and preparing something greater. And right in the middle of this national crisis, something remarkable happens. While kings are being overthrown and cities are collapsing, a young man named Daniel is being positioned. He is taken captive, not by choice, not by comfort, but by circumstance. Yet what looks like displacement is actually divine placement. Daniel and his companions are brought into the palace of Babylon. In the very heart of a pagan empire, God plants faithful witnesses. These young men, far from home, far from the temple, and surrounded by a culture that opposes everything they believe, are given an opportunity not just to survive, but to stand. This is where the inspiration lies. God can use your lowest moment as the starting point of your greatest purpose. You may feel like something has been taken from you: opportunities, stability, direction. You may feel like you're in a Babylon, a place that doesn't reflect your values or support your faith. But Daniel's story reminds us that God is not limited by your location. He can raise you up anywhere. He can give you influence in unlikely places. He can turn captivity into calling. The same God who allowed Jerusalem to fall also raised Daniel to stand before kings. The same God who permitted the vessels to be carried away preserved a remnant of faithful people who would shine even brighter in darkness. And that includes you. So when life feels uncertain, remember this. Your situation may look like defeat, but in God's hands, it can become destiny. Stay faithful. Stay grounded. Stay committed. Because just like Daniel, you may be exactly where you are for a reason. These verses reveal something deeply encouraging. Even in captivity, God's purpose for your life does not shrink, it expands. Daniel and his companions were taken from their homeland, separated from everything familiar, and placed in the heart of a foreign empire. Yet instead of being discarded or diminished, they were selected. Not randomly, but intentionally. Scripture describes them as young people, without blemish, skillful in wisdom, understanding science, able to stand in the king's palace. This wasn't accidental. Long before Babylon ever rose to power, God had already been shaping their minds, building their character, and preparing them for influence. Even a prophecy spoken generations earlier in Book of Isaiah and recorded in 2nd Book of Kings 20 verse 14 to 18 pointed to this moment. What looked like a warning of loss also carried a hidden truth. God already knew where His people would be and what He would do through them. That's the first inspiration here. Your preparation today is not wasted, even if your future looks uncertain. Daniel didn't suddenly become wise in Babylon. He arrived already equipped. The discipline, learning, and faithfulness he developed earlier became the very reason he was chosen later. Then comes something even more surprising. King Nebuchadnezzar, instead of treating them harshly, gave them the best of the best. Imagine royal food, royal education, and access to the highest level of training in the empire. For 3 years, they were immersed in excellence. This creates a powerful contrast. They were captives, but treated like royalty. They were in a foreign land, but given uncommon opportunity. And here's the deeper message. God can cause you to thrive, even in environments that weren't meant for you. You might find yourself in a place you didn't choose, a difficult job, a challenging season, or a situation that feels unfair. But just like Daniel, that environment can become your training ground, not your limitation. Notice also they were being trained to stand before the king. That phrase is significant. It means they were being prepared for influence, responsibility, and leadership at the highest level. God doesn't just bring you out of trials, He often uses them to position you. And one more insight stands out. Why were these young men chosen? The text suggests something bold. They stood out. Their discipline, wisdom, and character made them exceptional, even among the Babylonians. This isn't about superiority, it's about stewardship. When you develop what God has placed in your mind, character, and faith, you become impossible to ignore. So the encouragement is clear. Grow where you are planted. Sharpen your mind and your character. Stay faithful, even in unfamiliar places. Because like Daniel, you may be in a season of preparation that leads to a moment of elevation. So always remember, whatever it may take, however your heart breaks, what looks like exile today may be the very path to standing before kings tomorrow. Please, if you haven't yet, subscribe now to the channel and smash the notification bell so that you never miss out on my next series. Thank you so much for your time here. I truly appreciate it. Until then, God be with you till we meet again. Goodbye.